I want you to just close your eyes for a second.
Assuming you're in a safe place to do so, of course.
Right, yeah. Assuming you are not currently navigating morning traffic. But I want you to transport yourself back to a very specific, universally nerve-wracking moment in your life.
Oh, I think I know exactly where you're going with
I
this.
bet you do. Picture the morning of the first day at a completely new job.
Terrifying.
It really is. The alarm went off at like 5:30 a.m., which was entirely unnecessary because, let's be honest, you spent the entire night staring at the ceiling.
Just mentally rehearsing conversations that will absolutely never, ever happen.
Exactly. You finally get out of bed. You are dressed to impress. Maybe you ironed that shirt 3 separate times, just agonizing over a tiny crease near the collar.
Or you laid the specific outfit out on your bed a full week ago.
Yes. You've got your overpriced coffee in hand. Your commute was strangely, ominously quiet. And now you are standing right outside the towering glass doors of your new company's building.
The point of no return.
You take a deep breath. You push the heavy door open. The aggressive chill of the lobby air conditioning hits your face. And then
It happened.
it happens. A massive, overwhelming, nearly paralyzing wave of panic washes completely over you. You suddenly realize, with horrifying clarity, that you have absolutely no idea what you are actually supposed to say to the human beings inside this building.
It is a profoundly terrifying moment, honestly. You can spend weeks or even months locked in the sterile vacuum of the hiring process. You agonize over the exact formatting of the resume.
Oh, the fonts, the margins.
Right. You spend hours practicing your answers to standard interview questions in front of a bathroom mirror. You navigate the delicate dance of salary negotiation. But the literal second you walk through those glass doors,
It just vanishes.
all of that purely technical, professional preparation just evaporates into the ether. You are no longer a resume. You are a biological organism that has to figure out how to survive.
That is so accurate.
You are suddenly faced with the very raw, very human reality of having to integrate yourself into a completely foreign social ecosystem. You have to speak words out loud. You have to read microexpressions.
And you have to somehow convince a building full of skeptical strangers that you actually belong there.
Exactly. The pressure to not sound utterly foolish on day one is immense. And it's entirely understandable why our brains tend to just short circuit in that lobby.
I mean, I still get a phantom knot in my stomach just thinking about that lobby feeling. It's as if you've spent 6 months rigorously studying the fluid dynamics of water and, the theory of different swimming strokes.
And then someone just violently shoves you into the deep end of a freezing pool.
Yes. Theory is completely out the window. You just have to start frantically paddling so you don't drown. That incredible tension, that highly specific flavor of workplace anxiety is exactly what we are going to tear apart and examine today. Welcome to this deep dive.
I'm really looking forward to this one.
We are looking at a set of source materials today that, at first glance, might actually make you chuckle a bit. We are analyzing a highly effective, incredibly insightful educational transcript from a program called Talk with Alex and Sophia.
The deceptive simplicity of this source is what makes it such a rich text to analyze. If you just glance at the transcript, it reads a bit like a standard corporate training video or perhaps an introductory conversational language lesson.
Right? It seems very basic on the surface.
It does. You have two distinct personas. You have Alex, who operates as this incredibly steady, unflappable professional mentor figure. And then you have Sophia, who steps into the role of the polite, deeply curious, and slightly anxious new employee.
Right. Welcome to Alex and Sophia's interview. I'm Alex, and here with me is Sophia. That's how it opens.
Exactly. And on the surface, it's just a dialogue about where the printer is. But when you apply a psychological lens to their interaction, this transcript reveals itself to be a masterclass survival guide for the modern workplace.
A literal survival guide.
It breaks down the absolute essential linguistic tools you need to not just survive the panic of the lobby, but to actively establish dominance, or at least competence, on day one.
That's the mission for today. We are going to take this seemingly basic interview and completely reverse engineer it. We want to analyze the deep behavioral psychology behind the exact phrases Alex and Sophia are choosing to use.
Because every word is chosen for a reason.
We're going to explore why certain specific words act as a literal pressure valve for your central nervous system when you are under stress. Yeah. And we are going to show you how to master the unspoken, completely invisible social dynamics of office life.
It's fascinating stuff.
We are tracking the entire life cycle of the first day. From the armor you wear at the front door, to the complex politics of the copy machine, all the way to the vital shadow economy of the office coffee maker.
It really is an anthropological journey. Because what Alex and Sophia are mapping out isn't just a list of polite vocabulary words. They are mapping out human behavior under extreme social duress. They are providing a blueprint for how language can be strategically deployed to establish safety, project competence, and forge connection in an environment where, at 9:00 a.m. on Monday, you currently possess none of those things.
Let's jump right into the very first moments of the transcript, which is all about the armor of the first impression.
Physical preparation.
Right. The lesson opens with Sophia making a very deliberate, very specific declaration about her clothing. She announces to Alex, "Today I'm wearing a blazer because we are talking about something very important, your first day at a new job."
I love that she calls it out immediately.
Alex, slipping right into that perfect mentor cadence, immediately validates her choice, telling her she looks very professional. But he also does something far more critical right out of the gate.
He addresses the underlying emotion.
Yes. Sophia admits that she remembers her own first day, and she confesses she was so nervous about meeting my new colleagues. And Alex doesn't brush this off. He doesn't say, "Don't worry." He simply says, "That's normal. Today we'll learn how to introduce yourself."
The immediate dual-pronged approach to managing baseline anxiety here is fascinating. Let's look at Sophia's blazer first. We have a tendency to dismiss workplace fashion as purely aesthetic, or perhaps just a matter of conforming to an HR dress code.
Sure.
But Sophia, explicitly linking her blazer to the importance of the day, points to a classic psychological defense mechanism known as enclosed cognition.
Okay, I want to push back on the blazer specifically for a second, because in 2026, the workplace has radically shifted.
That's very true.
We have tech CEOs in hoodies. We have people working in sweatpants from their dining room tables. We have entirely remote companies. Does the concept of the formal blazer still hold the same psychological weight it did 10 years ago? Or is this advice a bit dated?
It's a very fair question. But enclosed cognition isn't actually about the specific garment itself. It's about the symbolic meaning the wearer attaches to that garment.
So it's subjective.
Entirely. Enclosed cognition is the scientifically documented phenomenon where the clothes you wear literally influence your internal psychological processes. It's not just about signaling to others, it's about signaling to yourself.
Oh, that's interesting.
If your brain associates a blazer or a specific clean, well-fitting hoodie or a particular pair of glasses with professionalism, seriousness, and competence, putting that item on alters your cognitive state.
So you're basically putting on a character.
In a way. When you step into the vast, threatening unknown of a new office, your brain is desperately scanning for any anchor of stability. If your internal state is entirely chaotic, you can use your external state, your physical preparation, to build a psychological shield.
The armor.
The blazer, or whatever your equivalent armor is, forces a posture of confidence. It lowers your own internal barrier to entry.
So it's essentially the fake it till you make it strategy, but materialized in fabric. You literally dress for the emotional state you want to inhabit. You are hacking your own brain, telling yourself, look, we have the serious clothes on, we are professionals, we can handle this.
Precisely. You are outsourcing a portion of your confidence to your wardrobe. But as we see with Sophia, even with the structural support of the blazer, the underlying anxiety remains potent.
It doesn't cure the nerves entirely.
No, she openly admits to being so nervous about meeting her new colleagues.
Man, my stomach drops just thinking about her nerves here. We've all been there. Who hasn't felt that profound existential dread of having to walk down a long hallway of identical cubicles or open-plan desks?
The walk of shame, but before you've even done anything wrong.
Exactly. Feeling like every single eyeball is tracking your movements and judging your worth, it feels like you are walking to the gallows, not the marketing department.
That feeling is incredibly intense because it taps into a very primal fear. We had to contextualize the modern workplace. The concept of an office or a corporate hierarchy is a microscopic blip in the timeline of human history.
Right. Evolutionary speaking, we aren't built for cubicles.
And not at all. For tens of thousands of years, our physical survival depended entirely on being accepted by a tribe. If you were cast out of your group, or if you wandered into a new camp and they rejected you, that wasn't a career setback.
That was a literal death sentence.
You would starve or be eaten by predators.
Yeah.
Our neurological wiring hasn't caught up to the safety of the modern business park. So when you walk into a new job, your rational brain might be saying, I hope I execute these spreadsheet macros correctly.
Your lizard brain is freaking out.
Your primal lizard brain is screaming, I must integrate into this new tribe of humans immediately, or I will perish alone in the wilderness. The baseline anxiety of tribal integration remains entirely identical.
That puts an entirely different spin on sweating through your shirt by the elevators. Your body literally thinks it's fighting for its life against a rival tribe of accountants.
It really does.
And that neurobiological reality makes Alex's reaction to Sophia's confession profoundly important. Notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't say, oh, don't be nervous, you're great. He doesn't say, there's nothing to worry about, everyone is nice. He says, that's normal. He immediately and unequivocally validates the panic.
That validation is arguably the most crucial step in any learning environment, especially one fraught with social peril.
Why is it so crucial?
Because when you're experiencing that evolutionary tribal integration panic, your amygdala, the almond-shaped fear center deep in your brain, is firing off alarm bells. You are saturated in cortisol and adrenaline. You are in a mild but very real state of fight or flight.
You're in survival mode.
In that neurological state, your executive function shuts down. You physically cannot absorb new information. You cannot remember the names of the 3 people you just met. And you certainly cannot project an aura of natural, relaxed confidence.
So you're basically cognitively impaired by your own fear.
Yes. By saying that's normal, Alex is performing a psychological intervention.
He's giving her permission to stop fighting the feeling itself. It's like when you tell someone to calm down, it usually makes them angrier. But acknowledging the stress somehow deflates it.
Exactly. When you fight the anxiety, you are just compounding the cognitive load. You are stressed about being stressed. By normalizing the fear, Alex breaks that feedback loop.
He disarms the alarm.
Once the brain hears a trusted authority figure say, this high threat level is expected and acceptable, the amygdala can finally stand down. The alarm bell is quiet. And only then can the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thought, learning instructions, and remembering where the bathroom is, actually turn back on.
He's clearing the runway for actual learning to occur. So the armor is securely fastened, the primal nerves are validated, and the amygdala is chilling out. Now comes the moment of truth. We actually have to open our mouths, use our vocal cords, and speak to a veteran member of the tribe.
The dreaded job self-introduction.
And this is where the transcript gets incredibly interesting, because Alex's advice for the very first verbal interaction is almost shockingly aggressively basic.
It is the absolute elegance of the simple introduction, and its simplicity is its superpower.
Let's look at the exact text. Alex advises Sophia to keep her introductions incredibly, strictly simple. He provides a rigid template. Hi, I'm Name. I'm the new job title.
It's practically a fill-in-the-blank worksheet.
It is, and Sophia executes this perfectly. She says, hi, I'm Sophia. I'm the new marketing assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you. Now, if you are listening to this, you might be rolling your eyes. You might be thinking, well, obviously, that's how human beings introduce themselves. I didn't need a deep dive to tell me to say my own name.
It feels patronizing if you don't understand the psychology behind it.
Exactly. But why is Alex emphasizing this exact stripped-down, bare-bones formula? Why not encourage something with a bit more personality?
It comes directly back to the cognitive state we just unpacked. Under high stress, our brains severely, sometimes catastrophically, struggle with complex, multi-layered tasks.
Like trying to be charming on demand.
Precisely. When we are nervous on day one, we often feel this overwhelming, desperate urge to prove our worth immediately. We want to demonstrate to this new tribe that we are smart, highly capable, culturally attuned, and incredibly interesting.
We want them to love us immediately so they won't kick us out of the cave.
Right. But attempting to construct a witty, humorous, or highly detailed introductory narrative when your heart rate is at 110 beats per minute usually leads to one guaranteed outcome: incoherent rambling.
Oh, boy.
You lose your train of thought halfway through a sentence. You inadvertently overshare personal details, or you make a joke that lands completely flat because your comedic timing has been entirely ruined by adrenaline.
I have a painfully relevant anecdote for this. Let me tell you about a guy I knew, who was definitely me, by the way, on his first day at a mid-sized tech firm.
I can't wait to hear this.
I walked in, completely hopped up on caffeine and nerves. I didn't use the simple template. I walked up to the first person I saw near the kitchen, stuck out my hand, and instead of saying, hi, I'm the new copywriter, I launched into a breathless, unprompted monologue about the traffic on the I-95.
Oh, no.
Then I explained how my dog had a minor digestive issue that morning, which made me late. but not actually late because I left an hour early. And then I asked the poor guy if the company still used a specific software program I read about in an article from 2018.
That is a lot to process before 9 in the morning.
He just stared at me. It was excruciating. I had word vomited my anxiety all over a complete stranger because I didn't have a script.
That is a textbook example of cognitive overload manifesting as verbal diarrhea. The person listening to you wasn't thinking, wow, what a dynamic and interesting new hire. They were entirely overwhelmed and, frankly, probably looking for an escape route.
They absolutely were.
You dumped your unmanaged nervous energy directly onto their lap. Alex's template is essentially a vital cognitive failsafe. It is a script so fundamentally simple, so heavily grooved into our linguistic patterns, that you can recite it, even if your brain is currently frozen in a state of sheer panic.
It's like an emergency protocol.
You do not need to invent aerodynamics while you are falling out of an airplane. You just need to pull the ripcord. Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm the new marketing assistant. Boom. You have survived the interaction.
But I'd argue there's another layer to this beyond just saving the new hire from embarrassing themselves. It's also about doing a favor for the veteran employee. Think about it from the perspective of the person who has been working there for 5 years.
That is an excellent point. It is fundamentally about identity, expectation, and categorization.
Solving the puzzle.
Yes. When you walk into an office as a new hire, you are an anomaly to the existing stable ecosystem. You are a walking, breathing, unsolved puzzle. The veteran employees are looking at you, and their brains are rapidly trying to process this new variable. Who is this person wandering near the printer? Are they a client? Are they the delivery driver? Are they the new boss? How does their presence affect my immediate workflow?
Right. The veteran employee is secretly harboring their own minor anxieties. They are wondering, does this new person mean more work for me to train them, or are they here to take work off my plate?
Precisely. The veteran's brain is expending energy trying to categorize you. By immediately, in your very first sentence, pairing your name with your precise job title, I'm the new marketing assistant, you instantly solve the puzzle for them.
You hand them the missing piece.
You provide the exact metadata they need to categorize you and understand your role in their day. You eliminate their confusion immediately.
You are lowering their cognitive load.
Yes, and human beings inherently prefer interactions that are easy to process. When you make other people feel at ease and give them clarity, they subconsciously start to like you more. You haven't demanded anything of them. You haven't confused them. You have just cleanly defined your parameters.
And then Sophia adds that polite finishing touch.
The addition of Sophia's final phrase, "It's a pleasure to meet you," is the necessary, polite polish that signals you are respectful of the existing social order. It softens the data delivery with warmth.
So if we translate this into actionable advice for you, the listener, you have to fiercely resist the urge to overcomplicate the first 10 minutes of your employment. You absolutely do not need to win everyone over with your sparkling, multifaceted personality in the first 30 seconds.
And we're not performing a stand-up routine.
You just need to deliver the clean, undeniable data points. Name, title, polite greeting. Establish the absolute baseline first. Once the baseline is established, you can slowly start letting your personality bleed into the interactions.
Establish the baseline, secure the initial interaction, and then immediately pivot to orienting yourself within the physical and organizational structure of the environment.
Yeah.
Which naturally brings us to the next highly strategic phase of Alex and Sophia's masterclass.
Yes. Moving on to what I like to call the navigation phase, office basics, essentially. In the source material, once Sophia has the introduction down, Alex guides her toward establishing readiness. He suggests asking a very specific loaded question right away. Who should I report to?
A vital question.
Alternatively, he offers, could you show me to my desk? Sophia then jumps into the highly practical day-to-day survival questions. She asks about the office machines. She says, almost with a sigh of relief, that she always needs to ask, how do I use the copier?
We all do.
And then Alex, and this is genuinely the funniest and most accurate part of the whole transcript, counters her copier question by bringing up what he declares is the most important question of all. What's the Wi-Fi password?
This specific progression of questions is not random. It is a brilliant, layered distillation of what a human being needs to feel secure and functional in a new space. Let's start with the physical anchors. The suggestion to ask, could you show me to my desk, is paramount.
Tell me about the psychology of the desk.
We need to talk about the profound vulnerability of not knowing where your physical body is supposed to reside in an office.
Oh, the feeling of not having a desk is excruciating. It's like being back in the middle school cafeteria. You are standing there, holding your lunch tray, scanning a sea of tables, realizing you have no assigned seat, and feeling like an intruder everywhere you look.
Exactly.
It is a deeply uncomfortable, untethered feeling of floating in space while everyone else is grounded.
The spatial psychology of the workplace is incredibly powerful. Without a desk, you have no territory. You are a nomad. In the animal kingdom, not having territory means you are constantly exposed to threats.
You're an easy target.
Asking to be shown to your desk is the fastest way to find a safe physical anchor in a chaotic environment. Once you have a desk, even if it's just a sliver of a table in an open-plan nightmare, you have a home base. You have a physical boundary.
It's yours.
You have a place to put your bag down, which symbolically unpacks your presence. You have a designated zone to retreat to after an overwhelming round of introductions. And crucially, you have a fixed vantage point from which to safely observe the flow and rhythm of the office. It grounds your physical presence.
Okay, so you've established your physical territory. You have a chair. But I want to debate this next piece of advice from Alex. He suggests asking, who should I report to?
Let's hear it.
Now, I look at the modern startup culture. We have all these companies bragging about their flat hierarchies, where everyone is equal and titles supposedly don't matter. In that kind of environment, doesn't asking who do I report to make you sound a bit antiquated? Like you were looking for a micromanager.
That is a very common misconception about modern work culture. The idea of a truly flat hierarchy is largely a myth constructed for employer branding.
A myth.
Even in the most progressive, beanbag chair-filled startup, a hierarchy absolutely exists. Might not be printed on a formal org chart, but it is there. Someone holds the budget, someone decides what projects get greenlit, someone has the final say on hiring and firing.
So the hierarchy is just informal.
Exactly. And if the hierarchy is informal and invisible, it is actually significantly more dangerous for a new hire because the landmines are hidden.
That's a great point. An invisible hierarchy is just a trap waiting to be sprung.
Therefore, asking who should I report to is a strategy of immense brilliance, regardless of the company culture. First, it immediately demonstrates a high level of professionalism. It signals, I am not just here to hang out and drink the free kombucha. I am here to be deployed for work. Tell me who directs my labor.
It shows you're ready to contribute.
But more importantly, it clarifies your immediate chain of command. In any new environment, the fastest way to ruin your reputation is to accidentally bypass the proper channels. You don't want to start asking the CEO where the staples are kept, and you certainly don't want to hand your completed quarterly strategy document to the summer intern because you didn't know who was who.
You are essentially asking for the map of the political minefield before you take your first step. Please tell me who I answer to so I don't accidentally insult the wrong person. It's pure self-preservation.
It is. You are publicly acknowledging that a power structure exists, and you are respectfully requesting your specific coordinates within it. So you have secured your physical space with your desk, and you have secured your political space by identifying your manager.
Now for the machinery.
Then the transcript transitions to the machinery, the actual tools of the trade. Sophia brings up the copier, and Alex brings up the Wi-Fi. I look at this exchange as a perfect illustration of the workplace hierarchy of needs.
Break that down for us because it's a hilarious contrast. Sophia is worried about a clunky, ink-stained piece of legacy hardware from the 1990s, and Alex is focused on invisible radio waves. But it rings incredibly true to the daily friction of office life.
If we adapt Abraham Maslow's famous hierarchy of needs, which starts with physiological needs like air and water at the base and moves up to self-actualization at the top, we can apply it directly to the modern worker.
I like this framework.
At the very foundational base level of the office hierarchy, you have the physical legacy hardware. The copier, the printer, the coffee maker. These are the physical tools that generate tangible outputs. Sophia asking, how do I use the copier, acknowledges a universal truth. Every single office has its own peculiar temperamental relationship with its printer.
It's never just a simple press-print situation.
Never. Every copier has its own unique set of Byzantine error codes, its own secret paper jam locations, and its own ritualistic way you have to hit the side of it to make it work.
It's true. The person who knows how to unjam the main printer wields immense quiet power in any office.
Precisely. Asking for a tutorial on the copier shows you're preparing for the mundane physical realities of the job. But Alex's counterpoint, framing the Wi-Fi password as the most important question, highlights the stark reality of modern knowledge work.
I have to side with Alex on this one. I'd argue the Wi-Fi password is significantly more important than knowing who your boss is.
It's the gateway to everything else.
If I don't know who my boss is, I can probably guess or wait for them to find me. If I don't have the Wi-Fi password, I literally do not exist in the corporate ecosystem. I am a ghost.
You are not wrong. Without Wi-Fi, the modern worker is entirely paralyzed. You cannot access the cloud servers. You cannot send the introductory emails. You cannot research the company's internal wiki. You are entirely severed from the digital circulatory system of the organization.
You're just sitting there looking at a blank screen.
Alex uses a bit of levity in the transcript, but his underlying point is dead serious. Establishing your technical connections is the absolute highest priority for actual measurable productivity. The Wi-Fi password is the oxygen of the modern office.
It really is. I've seen it happen. If the internet goes down in an office building for more than 15 minutes, people just start wandering the hallways like confused zombies until HR eventually sends everyone home.
It's chaos.
So you've secured your desk, you know your boss's name, you know which button to push on the copier, and you are officially connected to the internet. You have established your physical, political, and digital space. You are functionally ready to work. Which transitions us to the next, and arguably the most nuanced human need, the social fabric.
And this is exactly where the transcript evolves. It moves away from basic, day-one survival tactics and enters the realm of long-term integration. We move from the desk to the break room.
Let's dive into that. In the source material, Sophia deliberately pivots her line of questioning. She moves away from work tasks and starts inquiring about the broader environment. She asks two very specific questions. Where's the break room, and where do people usually go for lunch?
Social mapping.
Alex, maintaining his role as the wise guide, immediately reinforces this instinct. He notes that asking about lunch is a great way to make friends with your new coworkers. And the entire transcript actually concludes with Sophia offering a cheerful sign-off, "See you at the coffee machine."
This section of the dialogue is vital because it directly addresses what sociologists call the hidden organizational chart of any company.
Explain the hidden chart.
Every corporation has an official, documented org chart. It shows the CEO at the very top, branching down to the vice presidents, the directors, the middle managers, and eventually down to the individual contributors and new hires. That chart dictates the formal reporting structures and who approves your vacation time.
But it's not the whole story.
Not even close. Operating parallel to that formal structure, layered right on top of it, exists a hidden, completely informal network. And that hidden network is where the actual power, the true company culture, and the real trust reside.
The hidden organizational chart. I love that phrasing because it so perfectly describes reality. Anyone who has worked in an office knows that the person who really gets things done, the person who can bypass red tape and expedite a project, isn't always the person with the director title.
It rarely is.
Very often, it's the person who happens to know everyone in the building because they spend 15 minutes in the break room every morning chatting with people from 5 different departments.
Exactly. Formal work, the typing, the coding, the data entry gets done at individual desks. But trust is built in break rooms. Company culture is established at local lunch spots. Cross-departmental alliances are forged over the sputtering office coffee machine.
It's where the real bonds form.
When Sophia asks, where is the break room? She isn't just asking for the geographical location of the microwave so she can heat up her soup. She is asking a much deeper question. Where is the social hub of this tribe? Where do the informal, unscripted interactions take place?
I want to focus on our question about lunch because asking where do people usually go for lunch is a subtly brilliant social maneuver for a new hire. It seems innocuous, but there's a lot going on there.
It is a masterful bid for connection. We have to consider the inherent vulnerability of eating. Anthropologically speaking, eating is a deeply social, communal act for human beings.
It breaks down barriers.
The concept of commensality, the act of sharing food together, has been a cornerstone of human bonding since we were sitting around fires in caves. When you ask colleagues about their lunch plans or ask for recommendations, you are subtly shifting the dynamic of your relationship from the transactional to the relational.
Explain the difference between those two modes.
A transactional interaction is purely based on utility. Here is the quarterly report you asked for, or can you approve this invoice? It is an exchange of professional goods.
Cold and functional.
A relational interaction, however, acknowledges the shared humanity between the two workers. I value your company and your local expertise enough to want to share a meal with you, or at least eat the same sandwich you recommend.
And what makes it so brilliant is that it's a very low-pressure invitation. You aren't walking up to a group of strangers and desperately saying, "Please take me to lunch with you. I'm lonely and I don't know anyone." That would be socially suffocating.
It would backfire completely.
Instead, you are asking for their expertise. Where do people usually go? It flatters their knowledge of the neighborhood. It positions them as the local experts guiding the newcomer. But simultaneously, it clearly signals that you are eager to participate in their established community rituals.
Yes, it opens the door for them to invite you without forcing their hand. And Alex's response explicitly confirms this strategy. He states it's a great way to make friends. He's openly acknowledging that the ultimate goal of the first day isn't just to prove you can operate the copier or log onto the Wi-Fi.
It's about integration.
It's to begin the delicate process of weaving yourself into the social fabric of the tribe. You have to become a recognized, accepted human, not just an employee ID number. And Sophia's final sign-off, "See you at the coffee machine," is the perfect crystallization of this understanding.
The water cooler economy. It is so real. I want to pause here and ask you, the listener, to do a quick mental audit of your own workplace. Think about your current job or the last corporate job you had. Where did the actual meaningful communication happen?
Think about it carefully.
Was it in the formal hour-long weekly sync meeting with the heavily prepared 30-slide PowerPoint deck? Or was it the hushed 5-minute conversation that happened in the hallway while you were both waiting for the espresso machine to heat up?
It is almost exclusively the latter.
It's the coffee machine. The informal spaces are where the real work of human relations happens. It's where rumors are either validated or squashed. It's where actual honest advice is quietly given by mentors. It's where alliances are formed before the big meeting even starts.
Sophia recognizing the coffee machine as the ultimate meeting point shows she deeply understands the true geography of office politics. It's the neutral ground.
It is the demilitarized zone of the office. Everyone, regardless of their place on the formal org chart, eventually has to go to the coffee machine. Navigating that neutral ground successfully requires a degree of humility, observation, and a willingness to learn from the veterans you encounter there.
Which provides a completely seamless bridge to the final and perhaps the most powerful pedagogical lesson contained within this source material.
Okay, we are getting to the heavy hitter now. Let's unpack this final major concept. Seeking work assistance. This is the pedagogy of asking for help, or what I like to call the magic phrase. In the transcript, Alex brings up a scenario that anyone who has ever started a new job knows intimately well. He says, on your first day, you might not have much to do yet.
The agony of the slow first day.
It is agonizing. It's universally true. You show up at 9 a.m., ready to conquer the world. But the IT department hasn't finished setting up your email accounts, your manager is unexpectedly pulled into back-to-back crisis meetings, and the person who is supposed to train you called in sick.
So you were just sitting there.
You are sitting at your new desk, aggressively staring at the wall. Alex suggests combating this awkwardness by proactively asking your manager or a colleague, "Is there anything I can help with?"
This touches on the critical tension between proactive boredom and passive boredom.
Explain that tension.
The first few days of a new job are notoriously, sometimes painfully, slow. The company, despite hiring you, rarely has a full 8 hours of neatly organized tasks ready for you to execute the minute you sit down. The danger here is one of perception.
Perception is everything early on.
If you sit at your desk staring blankly into space, or worse, if you pull out your phone and start visibly scrolling through social media because you have nothing to do, you are creating a catastrophic first impression.
Right, because the people walking past your desk don't know that IT hasn't given you a laptop yet. They just see a person scrolling on their phone. You instantly become branded as the bored, lazy, disengaged new hire.
And that reputation sticks.
Even if it's not your fault that you have no work, their perception immediately becomes your reality in the office ecosystem.
Precisely. Perception is reality on day one. Alex's advice to explicitly ask, "Is there anything I can help with?" is a preemptive defensive strike against that negative perception. It establishes a firm baseline of proactivity.
It shows initiative.
Now, the manager will likely say, "No, we don't have anything ready yet. Just review the employee handbook for now." But the outcome doesn't matter. By asking the question, you have legally, in the court of office opinion, registered yourself as eager, willing, and engaged.
You've documented your willingness to work.
You have put the ball back in their court. It signals that you view yourself as an active contributor to the team rather than a passive consumer waiting to be entertained by the company.
It's a brilliant reputation management move. It protects your personal brand when you have no actual work to show. But then the transcript moves from a defensive strategy to an offensive strategy.
Learning phase.
Yes. Sophia brings up the inverse scenario. What happens when she actually is given a task, but she looks at it and has absolutely no idea how to complete it? She tells Alex that instead of just saying the words, "I don't know," she asks, "Could you walk me through this?"
A phenomenal choice of words.
Then Alex heavily emphasizes this, explaining that this specific phrase means, "Please explain this step by step." Sophia notes she will definitely use it because it's vastly superior to just saying, "I don't know."
We have arrived at the absolute crown jewel of the entire transcript. The phrase, "Could you walk me through this?" is a piece of linguistic and psychological brilliance. It is a tool that every single professional, from the brand new intern to the incoming CEO, should deeply master and deploy regularly.
Is that important?
We need to spend a significant time unpacking exactly why this specific arrangement of words is so much more effective than the default response of, "I don't know."
Let's do a deep dive on this phrase alone. Because I completely agree. Walk me through this is a literal magic in a workplace setting. Let's break down the psychology. Why is "I don't know" such a catastrophic dead end? And why is this phrase the perfect bridge over the gap of ignorance?
Let's start with the framing effect.
Yeah.
When you are handed a task and your response is simply, "I don't know how to do this," you are essentially building a brick wall in the middle of the conversation.
You're just stopping the momentum.
You are declaring a state of total ignorance, dropping the problem on the floor, and leaving the burden entirely on the other person to figure out how to solve your lack of knowledge. It halts all momentum. It's a conversational full stop.
But when you ask for a walkthrough,
When you ask, "Could you walk me through this?" you are executing a masterful reframe. You are framing your current ignorance not as a permanent dead end, but as a temporary, highly actionable, collaborative learning opportunity.
it's forward-looking.
You are saying, "I have correctly identified a gap in my knowledge, and I am proactively recruiting you as my partner to help me cross that gap."
That is a massive distinction in tone. One makes you sound like a helpless victim of your own incompetence. The other makes you sound like an eager, strategic collaborator. You are inviting them into a process rather than giving up.
Exactly. Secondly, and this touches deeply on human ego and workplace psychology, asking someone to walk you through a process inherently flatters the person you are asking.
Flattery will get you everywhere, especially in middle management.
It's true. By asking for a walkthrough, you are implicitly acknowledging and validating their expertise. You're placing them in the elevated position of the wise guide, the keeper of the institutional knowledge.
People like to feel smart.
Human beings generally enjoy feeling competent, and they enjoy feeling helpful, provided they aren't currently overwhelmed with their own deadlines. By explicitly asking for their guidance, you are validating their status and their value to the organization. This builds immediate rapport. You aren't just learning a task, you are building an alliance with the teacher.
It taps into the reality that people absolutely love to give advice. If you walk up to a veteran employee and ask them to just do your work for you, they will resent you immediately.
They'll feel used.
But if you humbly ask them to share their hard-earned wisdom so that you can do the work better yourself, they will usually lean in, puff out their chest a bit, and happily help you. You are stroking their ego while getting the training you need.
And that dynamic leads directly to the third and most crucial function of this phrase. It's a very specific protective boundary for the interaction.
A boundary? How so?
Notice that Alex specifically clarifies that the phrase means, "Explain this step by step." He is highlighting the pedagogy of the request. When a new hire is confused and asks for help, there is a very strong, often overwhelming temptation for the busy veteran employee to just sigh, take the keyboard and say, "Look, it's faster if I just do it myself this time."
Oh, the dreaded, let me just drive for a second maneuver. I hate this. They bump you out of your chair, their fingers fly across the keyboard for 10 seconds, they close the window and say, "There, done." And you sit back down having learned absolutely nothing, feeling stupider than you did before you asked.
Exactly. And while that might solve the immediate short-term problem of getting the task done, it creates a toxic, long-term cycle of dependency.
You're stuck relying on them forever.
If they do it for you on Monday, you will have to ask them to do it again on Thursday, and by next week, they will be annoyed that you haven't learned it yet. But asking, "Could you walk me through this?" acts as a shield against that. It explicitly requests instruction, not completion.
It sets the terms of engagement.
It does. It sets the boundary that you fully intend to be the one executing the task. Your hands will remain on the keyboard. You just need them to provide the verbal map. It forces the veteran to slow down and actually teach.
It forces them to be a mentor.
It ensures the new hire actually absorbs the process. It is the literal corporate embodiment of the proverb, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime.
It is incredibly empowering. You aren't playing the helpless damsel in distress. You're playing the rigorous student. And if we extrapolate this out a bit further, think about the long-term career implications of this phrase. Think about how walk me through this sets a precedent for your entire tenure at that company.
How do you see that playing out long term?
Well, think about the reputation you build. If you establish on day one, week one, month one, that your default response to confusion is a calm, polite request for step-by-step guidance, you are publicly branding yourself. You are establishing that you have a growth mindset.
You become known as someone who wants to learn.
You are signaling to every manager, director, and peer that you are completely unafraid to admit what you don't know, which implies a lack of toxic ego. And more importantly, it shows that you possess the interpersonal tools to acquire that missing knowledge efficiently without causing drama.
You're coachable.
Exactly. You quickly become known throughout the department as someone who is highly coachable. And honestly, in the modern economy where software and protocols change every 6 months, being fundamentally coachable is often far more valuable to a company than walking in the door claiming you already know everything. The know-it-all is rigid. The coachable employee is adaptable.
That is a profound observation. The willingness to be a beginner and possessing the precise linguistic tools to navigate that beginner phase gracefully are what dictate long-term upward mobility.
It's the key to survival.
It removes the fragility of ego from the equation. The employee who pretends to know everything is a ticking time bomb, a liability waiting to make a massive mistake they tried to hide. The employee who constantly, calmly asks to be walked through new challenges is an appreciating asset.
It's amazing how much mileage we've gotten out of this one short transcript. We've covered an immense amount of psychological ground here today, all extracted from this deceptively simple conversation between Alex and Sophia.
It really is incredible how much depth, strategy, and evolutionary biology exists in basic human interaction when you slow down and actually put it under a microscope.
It is a testament to the complexity of communication. The transcript ultimately serves as a perfect microcosm of broader organizational behavior. It proves that there is no such thing as small talk on your first day. Every interaction is a data point.
So true.
Let's briefly recap and summarize the incredible utility of the toolkit we've assembled today from Alex and Sophia's lesson. We started at the front door with the armor. If you are terrified, put on the blazer or whatever garment makes you feel powerful. Hack your own enclothed cognition.
And crucially, validate your own primal nerves. Your amygdala is just trying to keep you safe from a rival tribe. Tell it that the anxiety is normal, and it will let you pass.
We then explored the power of the clean, simple introduction. Under stress, default to the script. Hi, I'm Name. I'm the new title. It's a pleasure to meet you. Do not overcomplicate it.
Do not tell stories about your commute. Give the veterans the clean data they need to categorize you and lower their own cognitive load.
Then we looked at how to anchor yourself with office basics. Secure your physical territory by asking to see your desk so you stop floating. Secure your political territory by asking who you report to, ensuring you don't step on invisible landmines.
And we mapped the office hierarchy of needs, acknowledging that while knowing how to fix a paper jam is good, possessing the Wi-Fi password is the absolute apex of survival.
We also unpacked the water cooler economy. Asking about lunch and finding the break room is not about food. It is a strategic move to infiltrate the hidden organizational chart, transition from transactional to relational dynamics, and begin weaving yourself into the social fabric.
And finally, the ultimate magic phrase for continuous learning and avoiding the trap of passive boredom. Could you walk me through this? It protects you from the dead end of, flatters your coworkers, and guarantees you actually learn how to do the job.
It is a comprehensive, psychologically sound toolkit. If you master these specific approaches, you drastically reduce the paralyzing cognitive load of your first day, allowing your brain to focus on the actual work and the actual people rather than just basic survival.
Absolutely.
Now, at the very end of the source transcript, Alex actually gives his audience a homework assignment. He asks his listeners to imagine their dream job and then practice introducing themselves in the comments section using his formula.
It's an excellent exercise in practical visualization. Mental rehearsal is a proven technique for anxiety reduction.
We love a good assignment, so we are going to turn Alex and Sophia's homework directly over to you, the listener, right now. I want to challenge you right now to actively visualize this scenario. What is your absolute ultimate dream job?
Take a second to picture it.
Maybe it's becoming the executive creative director at a top-tier ad agency in New York. Maybe it's being the lead botanist at a massive national park. Maybe it's walking into the lobby as the CEO of your very own funded startup. Picture the building vividly. Picture the exact outfit you are wearing, your armor.
Feel the fabric.
Now ask yourself, how much more confident would you feel walking through those glass doors on day one if you had this exact psychological toolkit securely in your back pocket? If you knew exactly how to execute the simple introduction, how to establish your physical space, and how to ask for help without sounding helpless.
The baseline anxiety never fully goes away. Remember that tribal integration fear is ancient and hardwired. But with these tools, you can absolutely master it and use it as fuel rather than letting it paralyze you.
It transforms the terror of the first day from a chaotic test of survival into a structured, manageable process of social integration.
It gives you control.
But before we officially wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a flip of the script. A final, somewhat provocative thought for you to mull over on your own. We have spent this entire hour shining the spotlight intensely on the new employee.
Yes, our focus has been entirely dedicated to the defensive and offensive strategies of the newcomer.
Right. We've analyzed the immense pressure they're under, the exact strategic questions they need to ask, and the profound vulnerability of being the outsider trying to join the tribe. But I want you to consider the other side of the equation for a moment.
The veterans.
Consider the veteran employees who are already firmly entrenched in the company. The ones who are sitting at their desks when they are suddenly confronted by this nervous, overly dressed, blazer-wearing new hire who doesn't know where the printer is.
The ones holding the power.
The true underlying culture of a workplace, the actual soul of a company, isn't defined by the perfect, polite, heavily rehearsed questions that a nervous new hire asks. The culture is defined entirely by how patiently and how generously the veteran employees choose to answer them.
That is the real ultimate test of an organization's health. Not what is written on the wall, but how the weakest, newest member is treated in a moment of confusion.
Exactly. When a new hire walks up to your desk, clearly overwhelmed, trying not to sweat, and bravely asks you, "Could you walk me through this?" How do you react? Do you sigh heavily, roll your eyes, and aggressively take the keyboard to do it for them just to save yourself 3 minutes?
Or do you pull up an extra chair?
Do you pull up that extra chair, validate their confusion, recognize their courage in asking, and patiently walk them through the process step by step? So, as you go back into your own workplace tomorrow, look around and ask yourself this. Does your current workplace make it psychologically safe for new people to ask that magic question? And more importantly, when it is inevitably your turn to be the veteran answering it, what kind of culture are you actively choosing to build?